You see what low grade you made on your weekly mathematics test. More than half of you failed. Most of those who passed just got by. Nobody had 100%. This is the poorest class I've had in a long, long time. Most of you have no foundation at all. Now, the trouble's with your attitude. You don't pay enough attention in class. You don't do enough work outside of it. You don't know what the word study means. You haven't the slightest idea. Don't you realize that mathematics is an important subject? I tell you right now that unless you get over your lazy habits and come up to the standards I've set for this class, many of you will have the pleasure of repeating this course next semester.
In the model of control that Young has so articulately described, the children do not own the learning.
If we're serious about ending poverty, if we're serious about ending cycles of social failure, we have to provide children with great technology, with great teachers, and with a chance to learn and develop their skills in ways that their older brothers and sisters and their parents simply have not had. We have to end those cycles.
More learning, I think, is going on outside of school now than inside school. That kids are learning, those kids who are lucky enough to have access to computers and the internet and game systems and mobile phones are learning in all kinds of ways all day long.
Education has bifurcated completely into school, where you get a credential, and it's about the past, and after school, where you really learn interesting stuff on your own.
He really wanted to learn to swim. But one thing was certain. He'd never learn that way. Yes, Bill had a handicap. That handicap was fear.
That we have a mania for control in school over technology. We're frightened of it. So we know we ban all the internet sites.
Sure. I'm a coward. Afraid of the what? Afraid to jump in and help somebody. Well, they're not cowards. Ed or Jim. Or Janet either.
That doesn't mean they don't have their own blog. Can we agree? MySpace, Facebook. Have you heard? Hillary Clinton has a blog. Barack Obama has a blog. Most of the presidential candidates have a blog. You can run for president and get a blog, but we can't teach children how they work in school so you understand what the candidates are manipulating on their blog.
On the other hand, I guess what is serious is the fear people have of this. You know, when books first got printed, there was tremendous fear of people who weren't used to them. They were going to destroy society. They were going to allow poor people to read. They were going to make people rebellious. Everybody who is not native to a technology, when it's new in their lifetime, can be frightened of it.
Well, I'll never get over being afraid in the water, no matter how often I get in the pool.
They've wired the classroom and then disabled the computer. They've opened the school up to new kinds of learning and then told teachers, don't go anywhere near it. And even if you bought the scenario, the danger scenario, that kids are at risk if they enter, say, MySpace, wouldn't we be better off as a society if we had educators who knew about the risk and the benefits of that and how to manage that risk, talking frankly to kids about what they needed to do to be safe and ethical online, than saying, this doesn't belong in school and we're going to close the schoolhouse gates and you're going to have to deal with it on your own.
Whereas what we really have to think about is what produces involvement, engagement, what grabs the individual. And so it's much more related to love than to logic. It's much more related to sex than to abstraction. It's much more related to how you see yourself as fitting into the social and cultural fabric, including how you see television. Is it something that's being done to you or something that you want to appropriate? Then it's a matter of knowing how to put subject matter in the right sort of logical order in order for people to understand it. Education has very little to do with explanation. It has to do with engagement, with falling in love with the material.
What they want to do, what the kids want, is the group work, is the project work, is the case work, is getting their opinions heard, is sharing things. They know they're world citizens. They want to affect the world. They are so much more engaged in the world than they ever get credit for in school. And they're so much more involved with each other.
Now we're at a point where some kids grow up immersed in social network sites, in YouTube and Flickr and Twitter, who have acquired the skills at navigating through the digital space. And those kids have a habit of mind, a way of processing information that is going to serve them well in schooling, to serve them well in the workplace of the future. Those kids who haven't had those experiences are being locked out. And the problem is when we lock those experiences out of school as well, there's no way for them to catch up. Schools are our best tool for allowing those kids who are being left behind to acquire the skill and the sense of self-confidence that will allow them to more meaningfully participate in that environment.
As he became more skillful in the water, he also became more confident. He was ready to try actions that would have frightened him before, because now he knew he could always right himself in the water, and so needn't fear drowning. Then, as he learned more, Bill gradually eased into deeper water. If he could swim across the shallow end of the pool, he could swim across the deep end.